love to collaborate. I recognize some faces here, and collaborating with you all in the goal of helping kids learn and be successful is something that we're all about. So we share that mutual goal. And I think it's just wonderful to be here and share with you what we do on our end about that. So just trying to get
Yeah,
this.
do you need any help with it, or you have to about it?
I might be okay.
And then close the door so you don't have too much outside.
It works. Okay.
Hey.
So I brought some things for you to, like Megan was talking about, to share a little bit of things, some things we can do. I think what I want to do though is just give you a background of what vision there. This is the last slide. Thank you for all that you did. let me go back to the beginning. Because there's a lot of people have a misunderstanding about what vision really is, what it isn't. I'm not going to talk too much about visual acuity or refractive status, such as myopia or hyperopia or astigmatism. I'm not going to talk about LASIK surgery or eye disease or glaucoma. I'm going to talk about the brain's capacity to acquire information, to utilize that information, and then to exhibit information that we've learned. So I'm going to talk about the process of that, the purpose of having a visual system. So the purpose, I'm going to talk about the purpose. I'm going to talk about how does the brain go about serving this purpose to support it, what gets in the way of visual learning, and then how are the visual delays and dysfunctions treated. So I'm going to go through this sequence with you. Do we have about an hour? Is that what we have? So what is the purpose of having a visual system? I think that's the primary discussion that should be had at the beginning. And so it's not certainly to see clearly. 20/20 is important, but gosh, am I the only one wearing glasses? No, you wear glasses. Okay. So, contacts.
Contacts.
Okay. So clarity is important, but it's really quite secondary, maybe even tertiary to the process of learning. So the real purpose of having a visual system or having vision is to know when and where things are happening. Okay. To know what it is, what's afforded, what it means, what value do things have. So a developing child, think of a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old when they're exploring the world. What they want to determine is what's the affordance of something. What does it afford? What value does it have for you? So what can it do? Can it roll? Can it be stacked? Does it make sound? What does it feel like? These are the kinds of things that are important primarily in the developing brain and the developing visual system for children. So what does it afford, or what does it mean? What value does it have? And once we're able to do that, we're able to differentiate between things. So the ability to differentiate between one thing and another is called just noticeable difference. That is the ability to discern that one thing is different than another. That a triangle is different than a diamond, for example. Or a sphere is different than an ellipse. So then we can label them, of course, but the primary thing is to see that there's a difference between things. This wall right here is textured. I can see that it's textured and that it's not flat. Well, and I just noticed this is wallpaper and that's not. So to be able to see those distinctions provides an opportunity for learning to take place. We learn more subtle differences amongst the world when we have the ability to discern subtle differences amongst things. Whether it's a pattern, a wallpaper, the exposure of that photography, the photographer used to take that picture. All these different things are all about the ability for the sensory system of the body to discern subtle differences amongst things. So that's a critically important. When it comes to language, we play a game in our office we call it the like game. So we never use the word like it was really hot, like it was really hot outside yesterday, and it was like really cold. We use that one. So we play this like game in order to develop just noticeable differences in linguistic capacity. Our ability to use subtle differences of language. It's warm, or it's sweltering, or it's hot, or it's boiling outside. So JND in linguistics, JND in sensory input, JND in movement. A good volleyball player has the JND in movement, so a setter knows how to set a ball in such a way that they can feel subtle differences of the spin, of the pass to them. And so it's all subtleties of movement. We call that JND. So after we can know what they afford and we know how to differentiate them through just noticeable differences, we can then label them. But the linguistic label that we put onto things it just automatically limits the true nature of that thing. So once we label something, such as this being a chair, then it's limited pretty much into that category for a lot of people. And they begin to lose creativity for other affordances for what that chair can offer. And what this chair offers, one person doesn't offer another person. So, or even different animals, it's called affordances. What this chair affords a bird is quite different than what it affords a human being. And what it's quite different than what it affords an infant versus a toddler. Or it doesn't afford lots of uses for certain people with disabilities or different movement inabilities. It affords difficulty for those with vestibular dysfunction because it rotates and they sometimes can't handle rotation. So we have to look at those things. So again, if we label something, we just realize that we're limiting its possibilities or defining its use for somebody that might not be appropriate. So, and then we categorize things. Well, these are things that we sit on. There's lots of things in this building that we can sit on. The floor, we can sit on that refrigerator, we can sit on this. That is something to sit on. So we categorize. So once we can identify what something is, what it can do, what meaning it has, then we have a desire to remember it. We have a desire to differentiate it, label it, categorize it. Okay, so that's from a physical standpoint. But the other part of vision is to move, is to direct the intelligent movement of the body. So in athletics, that's really important. We work with the Padres, and they're getting close to doing all right. So, but think of a baseball pitch. To be able to respond when and where you need to based on the perceived movement of other objects in space is one of the primary functions of the visual system. That is to keep the body safe and for the body to approach food or shelter. So on a very basic level, very primitive level, visually guided movement is one of the main reasons for having a visual system. Or to inhibit movement. So when we see something, there's three things we're going to do on a very basic level. That is to not move, continually to observe, to discern the value of it, maybe give an opportunity for developing JND or just noticeable differences for the subtleties that are being provided to us, either visually or acoustically or tactually. So there's an inhibition of movement to further examine the elements in our visual field. Or we move toward it, or we move away. So those are the three things that we do. And in the linguistic realm, I'm using all kinds of gestures to express what I intend to say. Expression with the face and intonation and bodily movements are completely eliminated, of course, when we use texting. And it limits our capacity to exchange affect with other people. So this is all in the service of expanding our map of understanding and predicting and creating the future. So if you talk to a cognitive neuroscientist, they're going to say, well, if you ask them, what's the purpose of having a brain? Most often you'll hear back, if you get to the most basic level, they're going to say it's the ability to predict the future. That's why we have a brain, is to predict the future and maybe even create the future. So certain lower animals certainly have to predict the future. Should I go toward, go away, or continually observe this thing in my environment? But if we can predict the future by having patterns of recognition and realizing the relationships amongst objects and agreed upon social interactions, then what happens to that individual? What would be the result if you couldn't predict the future? What if we didn't know for sure that this room was going to be standing weren't certain about the stability of this room. Fear, anxiety, apprehension, insecurity. Certainly not the capacity to go deep into reflective thought. It's not like we're going to begin thinking about abstract ideas if we're constantly hypervigilant about the fact that maybe this building is going to collapse. We're not sure about it. But because of our past experience and our knowledge that we can predict the future, that this building's going to be standing for the next hour at least, then we can go and retreat from the hypervigilance necessary to secure our survival, our physical survival. And we can go into more abstract reasoning opportunities, such as what you all do here for the kids in the world. Learning about abstract concepts of math or language and all the things that we do. So if you can predict the future, the more relaxed you are, your physiology is calmer, your cognitive receptivity to novel ideas is better. And so if the visual system can provide that for somebody, it enables them to learn easier. That's what we do in vision therapy. So how does that happen? How does the brain support that purpose of having a visual system? So again, it's by movement. And so movement into the unknown with support of another individual that guides you into that provides an opportunity for safety. Because if we're going to learn anything, we're learning from a place where we know to a place where we don't know. And whenever we go from a place where we know to a place where we don't know, there can be some natural fear too. And it's almost a biological imperative to experience fear with novel situations so that your sensory system's more heightened, more aware, to be receptive to learning the new relationships of this new thing you're about to learn. So then you have to move into that, either cognitively or physically, to derive meaning and value and affordances. If we can derive the meaning and the value and affordances of things that we hadn't yet known before, then our knowledge sphere expands. And now we have a stronger base from which to explore further. Less fear and anxiety. So vision makes available several things. The one we always think about is clarity, 2020. All that 2020 means is that most people can stand back at 20 feet and see the things that you can see at 20 feet if you have 2020. Okay, so without my glasses on, I have about 2080. Everyone's a little bit blurry. It's okay. You know, it's fine because I'm comfortable in having blur interpretation. But I have 2070. So this means that most people can walk back 70 feet and see the things that I have to walk up to 20 feet to see. That's all that means. So, but the clarity is important, but it's certainly not important for me to move around this room. I could probably drive home with 2070 vision and be safe. But if I'm to determine detail, then I've got to put these on. Now I can see detail, and I have a better opportunity for seeing just noticeable differences in those things. For detail, for what things are. So that's clarity. Accommodation is the ability to see clearly close up. So when you get a vision report and that individual is told by the clinician, say the parents are told by the clinician that, hey, your son has 20/20 vision, so nothing's wrong with your visual system that's interfering with learning. That's a pretty naive statement to make because 20/20 means you can see small things far away, and that's all that it means. It doesn't mean anything about the capacity to see clearly close up, which is what accommodation is. Accommodation is the ability to make things clear close up, and it requires a muscular effort. So if you can put out sufficient muscular effort to keep things clear close up, then you have sufficient endurance to assimilate the abstract information or the practical information or concrete information that's being offered by you. And they can do that. They can manipulate things. They can look at language symbols. They can exhibit language symbols in a clear way, which is important. And that has everything to do with accommodation. So if this child hasn't been evaluated for their accommodative skill and endurance, then you have no idea if they can sit with you for an hour and not have to mobilize a lot of muscular effort, which then interferes with their cognitive resources to assimilate what you have to offer. Binocularity is similar. If you have a difficult time with binocularity, that is maintaining your eye alignment on what you're looking at, then you're putting out so much of your finite cognitive limited resources to just keeping your eyes lined up. You have less attention left over to think about what you're looking at. looks fine.
No.
Okay.
With my glasses.
Okay, so you got your glasses. The glasses enable you to see clearly. So,
But me,
you're a better reader.
I don't know if I'm better reader. You can do it.
It's not important, but I had these out too. There's some things here that we can look at. But you don't wear glasses, right?
I'm not very reader.
So what you do, let's pull something out here for you to look at. So can you read that top paragraph for us?
Testing that evaluates only the need for glasses or 20/20 eyesight is not enough. The crucial visual abilities necessary for academic achievement are the visual processing and sensory integration skills in the brain.
Okay. So let's read this next one now. But I'm gonna put this prism over your eye, which is gonna make it. It's gonna obligate you to work with
Okay.
your binocular system. First of all, did you see a little bit of a shift there?
Yeah, it's not. Oh, yeah, now it's a little blurry. Okay. Our comprehensive learning-related vision analysis includes an in-depth evaluation of visual tracking, focusing, and eye coordination abilities, as well as the underlying visual cognitive, now it's getting blurry, visual perceptual and visual integrative abilities necessary.
What's happening? What do you?
It's getting, look, my eyesight's just getting shifted and blurry.
Are you seeing double sometimes?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
But you were still muscling it out pretty well. It was
Mhm.
difficult for me to tell that this was working as a demonstration because you were doing so well with it until the end there, toward the
Mhm.
it started getting to you a little bit. It's double imagery.
Yeah, it was just like moving.
Which is really typical because if you can maintain good binocularity for the first, say, 10 minutes of an assignment, that's great. And then maybe your endurance over time gets worse. And that's kind of what we were showing. So that's how that can be, is this intermittent double vision can be very much of an issue when it comes, and it has nothing to do with intellect, of course. It just has the capacity to physically engage written material. I'll give you another demonstration of that. So many of these demonstrations are very similar to those demonstrations that you see for dyslexia, because they often manifest in these very similar ways. I'm handing this out to you in a very specific direction, so don't turn this page over. Just keep it that way.
Do I pass it?
Yes.
And take it one on top?
Just take the top one. Pass it on. Take the balance of these. So just take the top one. That's it. Just keep the top facing. Good, so it looks like Alright. So can you please read that?
Do you remember? No, no, I can't.
Go ahead and try. It's okay, you can keep trying.
Yeah, do you remember
She's trying.
the story of the three? The three billy goats and a little one when. Yeah,
Or maybe you just tried harder. No, I'm just saying that facetiously, of course. I mean, you're trying hard. As a matter of fact, you're trying a lot harder than everyone else in this room to read that. And yet, all of us listening to you are thinking, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just read this? We all can read it. If you turn it over, you'll see what everyone else is looking at. See that?
Yeah, that's,
So
that's rough.
it's jumbled up intentionally for you in order to have you experience or see what it's like for somebody who's eye movement control. It is kind of similar to you might have experienced this kind of a double image moving around. whereby you're looking at the print and it's solid and organized. As a matter of fact, if you look next at your neighbor's print, see hers, it's all organized, but yours is all jumbled, and you're thinking to yourself, she can read it, but you can't, so something's wrong with you. Something's wrong. And intelligent children, of course, come to the conclusion that something's wrong with their intellect. Maybe they're not trying hard enough, you know, because she can read it just fine, and you can't read it well at all. But it has only to do with either binocularity and accommodation, ocular motility, the ability to move your eyes when you want to, and it could be dyslexia too. And so you have to tease that apart to determine whether or not a child truly does have, in fact, dyslexia, or possibly a visually induced learning difficulty. So that's the Billy Goat's gruff, and you can turn it over and read the other side if you want. Just you're good.
Get that exercise.
The central peripheral integration, that is, when we read, you know, when we're pointing our eyes at a particular word, that's when we need clarity, and that's where we process linguistic information, and that's what we're looking at. Our peripheral vision tells us what's likely to come up next. It's processing what we call orthographic information. So when we're looking at the three Billy Goats, and our eyes are pointed at the word goats, to the side of goats is this gruff, and it's a word that we're not accustomed to. So we know that our peripheral vision is giving us this general shape of a word that we're not quite familiar with. So we're definitely going to stop and look at it. Our eye movements to say, okay, we're going to stop there because I'm not sure what it is, and process that information. But for smaller words such as and the, these connecting words, your peripheral vision recognizes them in context, and they don't stop there and shouldn't stop there in order to decode what it is. This is another example of what it's like to have difficulty with eye movement control. So if you pass that. So who's going to get picked?
No, that's what I'm wondering.
So why don't you try? I let you off the hook. So why don't you start here reading?
This exercise was.
She's reading from bottom left and going up.
This exercise was designed to force you to move your eyes in a direction.
Yeah, we're going to go up the left and down the second
Different.
column.
Yeah.
Okay, different way, which, no, while.
My point on this one is you're having to move your eyes in a different way, a
Right.
way that you're not used to, maybe a way that you haven't yet learned to do. So it's possible that a child that's learning to read is having such difficulty because they haven't yet learned to scan left and right in an efficient way. And so there's something called the developmental eye movement test that helps tease this out. Do they have difficulty with rapid automatic naming, that is processing speed, or is it truly an eye movement control accuracy problem? And so we can look at that and decide, okay, it's not that this child has a slow processing speed, which a lot of individuals with dyslexia have, but rather it has to do with eye movement control. And so we can tease those two apart as well and work through it that way. So what gets in the way of visual learning? Well, cell phones possibly. I mean, this is definitely, let's negate peripheral vision. And certainly let's negate communication between people that have anything to do with voice inflection, facial expression, the mannerisms of the body, and just look at the detailed text. So that can sometimes get in the way of visual learning. So screen time, because it's socially compulsive, biologically unacceptable activity. It's biologically unacceptable because we're not accustomed to having to stare at light sources for long periods of time at 16 inches without moving our body. To do that for a long time is biologically unacceptable. It's not normal to the human visual system. It decreases movement opportunity in dynamic three-dimensional space, which is, again, one of the purposes of having a visual system is to move the body through space. And so when it's skewed toward sedentary, don't move, simply look at language symbols for long periods of time, it then decreases the exchanges of vocal language and social awareness. I couldn't resist putting this picture up here. You've heard about the development of cranial horns in people now from the cell phone use. So, young children that are walking around with their cell phones, there's a big muscle in the back of our neck that's responsible for pulling our head up. And it's leveraged by a bone in the back of the cranium here, so these muscles attach to the back of the head. And when the head goes down a lot, that bone and that muscle relationship begin to mobilize a better connection because it has to keep the head in this position for a long period of time, and when it has to come up. And it's just unusual for people to be in this depressed posture. This is a posture of depression, right? So let's get depressed. But then the bone starts to grow, and so the kids are starting to develop these horns, they call them, right in the back, and you can feel them. If your child uses a cell phone a lot, after a couple of years, just feel for that horn growing.
Is that bad necessarily?
To have a horn coming out of your neck.
I mean, visually, but does it do anything, I don't know, cognitively or?
No, nothing cognitively. It's just that, well, I'm assuming if your daughter wants to play a sport that requires the use of a helmet, it might get in the way. I don't, they're just discovering this, so I don't know what the consequences might be other than a structural change is taking place because of the commitment to using a cell phone in this posture for long periods of time.
Essentially what you're saying is, it's bad posture, be like
Oh, yeah.
this, and kids are having it, so you think of somebody like an elderly, and their spine starts to curve, and, that's like usually something associated with old age. You're saying it's starting out with kids really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere, and we all do it. We assume this posture right here. You see all the videos about people walking into fountains and other things. So it's a complete shift in anatomical obligation to engage socially, and which is the opposite of how the body's designed. So I think it's going to end up with a lot of issues in terms of the spine, and, like you say, older people. Instead of being open to periphery and feeling confident, when you stand up straight and your shoulders back, you have a different mentality. You have a different sense of confidence and engagement in the world compared to like this. It's just, they've done this, it's called embodied cognition research. So they do this all the time. If they ask a person to bite on a pencil that obligates them to smile, and they fill out a questionnaire later on, they're happier. I mean, so your body position results in your attitude toward your own identity, as well as your competence in engaging. So, it's okay to have porn, I guess. It's really up to you. I don't know what they do about the horns now. I'm really ashamed. I don't know.
Yeah. I just meant like what complications come from it. I'm not obviously.
Well, I don't think it's normal, so I don't know yet, and I'm not sure. But I thought that was something we should all be aware of because things are changing. So how do we treat visual processing delays and dysfunctions? There's two ways generally. One is modify the environment. The other one is to develop visual skills. So the way that we can modify the environment is the lighting. Let's go back to here. So this classroom has two kinds of light. You can see the skylight above, fluorescent here, and a lot of natural light coming also from this angle. There's hard edges to this light. See the light reflecting on that desk and off the wall and off the wall there. So there are issues, if you will, in the lighting of this situation. general, it's nice that they have natural light filling in the dark periods of the fluorescent light. So these are incandescent light bulbs, I think. No, they're fluorescent. These are probably, well, most buildings now are fluorescent. You have a lot of natural light coming in. But if it's pure fluorescent, sometimes it can, certain children have what's called difficulty with critical fusion, flicker fusion frequency. So, you know when a fluorescent light starts to go out and it flickers? Well, some people with brand new lights see the flicker. And that can be, well, it sets off seizures in those with photomyoclonic seizure potential. So that they're actual seizures, which are related to migraines and related to all variety of deep wall seizures. But if you fill in the dark periods of those fluorescent lights with natural light coming through a window, it's great because then those dark periods aren't experienced by the neurology of the brain. They're not perceived necessarily by the individual perceptually, but the brain's constantly trying to fill in those dark periods, and it gets overwhelmed after a while, and it can't handle it anymore, and it sets off a seizure-like experience, which might be an absence seizure, where they're just no longer attentive. Or maybe a migraine kind of event.
Dr. Hillier, what does the fluorescent light compare to an LED light? Or?
LED's way better because LED is a continuous light, but and you can regulate the temperature, the color temperature of the light too. So LEDs can be better because they're perceived to be continuous light, which is some LEDs, the LEDs that you see in a building are fine. The ones that you see on the back of some cars, they're brake lights or the running lights. You've seen them, the little dots. And man, if you move your eye across them, you see a trail of lights. Maybe that's just me. You see like these movements and things. That's kind of like what we're talking about. So, but the type of lighting that I'm at least aware of indoors in the building, they're LED way better.
Yeah, our office here is all LED light, and then Malia, we took out all of the fluorescent lights and we moved in there. That's the thing, yeah, and put in like halogen bulbs.
Yeah, see, those are way better because it's continuous controllable light. And so the light that we're in can significantly determine the visual attention that we have for what that light's reflecting. I brought this in for you to see. We give all of our patients these slope surfaces, and it's white. It's also magnetic. It's a weight. But from a visual perspective, if we're modifying the environment for optimal learning, we will have our patients, we can give them this, we set it up, and we say, okay, we put a cell phone, wait, we don't really need to, this is reflective array. And I can see that right now, this is perfect for me. There's no reflection coming off this board from any light source in the room. So if I decide to put my study material up here, and I'm referencing it, and I can take notes down here, my posture is good, because this is brought up to me. It's brought to me. I don't have to get to it. I don't have to visually acquire it. The information is brought to me, and then I have this surface here to do my writing. And it's really handy. And I also know, because of the reflectivity of this surface, that there is no light competing for attention versus the attention of the author of the print. So, you know, it's like when you read a magazine and it's shiny, it's very irritating because you can't see what you want to look at. So the same thing happens with paper that's not reflective. So this paper is not reflective paper, but over a 5 or 10 minute period, if that light's at the wrong angle, it's going to be continually bombarding my eyes, and for reasons that I wouldn't know, I would just start to rub my eyes or just want to take a break, or I'm losing attention, and you don't know why, but it could be, and not always, but it could be because the reflected light off the soft paper is still coming in. So it's the angle of the light. If we're going to modify the environment, it's really important. So I would suggest that you get a little pocket mirror and put it on sit where the child's head is, or have a responsible child tell you, move that mirror along the surface of where they have to look. Look to see if their face lights up from a reflected light. Or ask them, can you see the light bulb in the mirror anywhere along here? And if they say yes, right there, right in the middle of where they have to look, boy, they're having to really fight through a lot of light, discomforting light, just to get to the material you're trying to show them. So I think that would be a really cool thing to do, is just in all of your areas, just get a little mirror, look at a sloped surface, and just say, hey, any reflected light anywhere? No, good. Now we can begin, because you have full visual availability to what you have to offer them. So that's what we do. It's one of the things we do to modify the environment. Other ways to modify the environment, if we can't control it externally, because we have more local control over it. So we use lenses. Now, my lenses here, because I'm nearsighted, I can see my hand really clearly right here. So what these lenses literally do is they move all of your imagery right up to where my hand is physically right here, so I can see, because I can't see any further than my hand right here, clearly. So if I want to see any of you clearly, I put these on, and it brings the image, the reflected light off of all of you right to this point here, and now I can see you clearly. The only reason I know that you're further away is because I can't touch you. But that light is emanating from a spot right here in front of you. Right, so lenses change the spatial location of the objects that you're looking at. So for a lot of children, what we do, they have perfectly clear vision and eyesight in the distance and close up. Everything's really clear for them, always, everywhere, all the time. We'll prescribe glasses for them that move the paper, the image of the paper further away. Because when we move things further away and they get a little bigger, the eyes can move more freely and more naturally. Because younger children, they don't want to be constrained in these small spaces. You know, children just want to live. And the same thing with their visual system. So if we put what we call low plus lenses on them of an appropriate power, all of a sudden what they're looking at close up gets bigger and further away. You can see their posture change, they're more comfortable, and they are oftentimes more receptive to what's being brought to them to look at. Yeah.
Does doing activities, I know like reading a passage can't be done to this level, but like doing activities like, you know how they have those giant books or like on whiteboards and stuff, does that have the same effect or is that different?
If it's further away and bigger, it's the same effect. And not only that, they don't have to converge their eyes as much. So these lenses modify the amount of convergence that's required, the amount of accommodation that's required, and the size. So theoretically, if you had your books, you know, on a wall 10 feet away that were bigger, great. But cultural demands require us to get it smaller and smaller and smaller. So if they need to acquire the ability to understand written language and they can't physically get to it, then bigger and further away is fine. And then once they acquire that skill and the linguistic ability, I guess, would be then to do it closer and closer. But that requires some neuromuscular maturity and skill development. So some people just don't have the skill to be that. You know, young children don't have the skill for fine motor control sometimes. Same thing with the eyes. You can think of the eyes as, well, we have three sets of paired ball and socket joints. And we have our hips for moving, and our shoulders for initiating, grasping, and our eyes. Our eyes are ball and socket joints. So our eyes are ball inside of a socket. It's a ball and socket joint. And they're literally reaching out into the world to acquire information, to physically ultimately manipulate it, and then release it. So in that sense, the eyes want to be moving and grasping, and just so to be static on a two-dimensional plane is really can be frustrating. So the spatial lenses, like I described, do nothing to clarity. They're not intended to, but they provide a better opportunity for movement and acquisition of otherwise detailed proximal information that's just too hard for them to contend. And then tinted lenses, you know, you've probably heard about Erlen lenses. They often affect or provide an opportunity for enhanced connectivity with the printed page. We also have colorimetry testing. I don't use the Erlen technique. I'm coming from a different scientific perspective, and so we use tints that are called colorimetry tints that are designed for minimizing migraine and helping people overcome the post-traumatic concussion symptoms that often occur after a concussion, visual symptoms of photophobia, and so, but also for language acquisition to enhance the contrast or buffer the contrast really between the white background and the black print. So sometimes the visual system is so sensitive to light that the white background overwhelms the print, and it's hard to acquire the print. Or when we're moving our eyes along the line of print, it's really a shuttering system. It's black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white. The strobe light does the same thing. If we were in a room right now where everything was strobing, we'd be really uncomfortable. Well, if you're even in an ideal light situation and you're reading along the line of print and you're really sensitive to this strobe effect, then your visual system is saying black, white, black, white, black, white, black. And that's just too much and it overwhelms. So if you wear a tint, that contrast between the background of the white page and the black print is minimized, and then you can acquire it more easily. And it's interesting how different tints do well for different people. It's not always a given that a blue is going to be best. So after modifying the environment, then we want to develop the visual skills of an individual. So we're going to develop all the neuromuscular skills like ocular motility, accommodation, binocularity, and central peripheral integration. There's all variety of things that we do there. You're all welcome anytime if you want to come by the clinic and see how this works. It's kind of fun to see how red and green lenses provide an opportunity for one eye to focus and then another eye to focus and back and forth, and then ultimately for both eyes to be used as a team. So it's really developing, just like an OT might develop fine motor skills for graphomotor expression, for handwriting. We do the same kind of thing for the visual system. The muscles inside the eyes and the 6 muscles outside the eyes, we teach them how to coordinate through feedback. Lots of biofeedback mechanisms using a prism like this. So who's the next guinea pig? You can? Okay. So let me show you a little bit about what it's like, first of all, to have a binocular dysfunction. So if you put these on, let's first of all have you stand up over here. And so then put these on. I don't know anything about your visual system, so this may or may not work. Oh. Maybe it is working. So, what's that like?
There's two of you, one's taller than the other.
Okay.
And then some of you are further or closer, some of you are closer or further. It's very disorienting.
Yeah, and so try walking around this way, just kind of walk over So this is an extreme example of seeing double vision. So I want you to see his behavior, because this is what individuals will do when they see double.
Like,
they're very insecure.
Yeah.
Really walk all the way
it's like
around.
soul gas. I feel like I have to keep my hands out when I'm like walking too. Like,
Because you're apprehensive and unsure about the future. The visual system, if it's working for you, it helps you predict the future. And if it's not working for you, then your future is uncertain and there's a lot of apprehension there. So that, I'm going to pass these around so you can all see them. Okay, and you're such a great volunteer. So let's try these. And I want you to come over this way and just kind of see, I want you to see how your visual system can completely dominate how you experience the world. So if you look at this edge, right, does that look straight to you? Does it feel straight? Yeah. Okay, look at your hand as you go down. So you're matching what you see with what feels really straight. He knows it's not curved. He knows it's straight. He feels it's straight. But because he now sees it curved, his visual system, overwhelmed, determines what he's going to see reality to be. So children that are clumsy, that can't try walking around. So you're not seeing double anymore.
No, it's a lot easier to walk, but I feel like I'm turning this way naturally now. And I can't, like, my equilibrium is like shifted like left.
These are called yoga prisms.
Yeah, it's
Children with autism often have this situation, and we treat them. And we can eliminate individuals with concussion or brain injury that we're seeing. So that is how that.
I felt like I was literally walking on a curve.
So then how do you correct that?
Well, if somebody has a visual perceptual midline shift secondary to concussion or brain injury or some developmental delay, they think the middle of their body's over here. So they think that if they're going to walk this way, if the middle of my body's here, they think they're going to avoid this chair, so they're walking over. They bump into
Is that the same as proprioception?
this proprioception, yes, and vestibular midline. And so if we can put yoga prisms on them, now things that are anatomically at their midline are seen to be that way as well with yoga prisms. And now they know where things are in space relative to themselves. And so that's part of this whole plan here of vision therapies, using lenses like this, having people become aware of double vision intentionally, and then being able to reconcile it and identify what to do with each eye, and then put the images together. Then now they're using each eye as a team rather than just saying one eye all the time and suppressing it. From a cognitive perspective, after we modify the environment, then we teach people how to use their visual system for learning. So we modify how they process information. We provide them knowledge about the value of the visual system to engage what's been called amongst all cognitive neuroscientists that work with memory, visual spatial sketchpad. So the visual spatial sketchpad is what we employ when we want to recognize and recall things with fluency and ease that don't require so much of the phonological loop. So if we want to memorize the Gettysburg Address, we're going to remember phonological loop, so it's going to keep us rolling through the memorization of the Gettysburg Address. But if we want to memorize maybe the Bill of Rights, we can probably attach images to those Bill of Rights using the visual spatial sketchpad to recall the significance of each of the Bill of Rights. And instead of remembering with linguistic cycling through the phonological loop, we can employ the visual imagery that's available in our brains and use the visual spatial sketchpad to memorize the relationships of certain concepts that we're being taught to understand. So in vision therapy, we teach how one can use the visual spatial sketchpad. We're using the dorsal stream within the brain. 2/3 of all of the brain is dedicated to visual processing. So when information comes in, that information is going to go above in the dorsal stream about where things are relative to our body and the spatial relationship amongst those things. And that's the inferior or the ventral stream to process what labels we're going to give to those things. So where is it and then what is it are combined as it gets to the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe decides, how am I going to remember this? I'm going to encode this through my hippocampus into deeper memory stores with visual imagery or through the phonological loop, which is going to be the most appropriate. The frontal lobe decides, we decide, and then we utilize that method that's appropriate for the task that we're asked to engage in. So we can help people work through that decision-making process. And we can do it this way. Now, this is hard to see, that's why I have a handout on that for you. So in vision therapy, and maybe through all variety of therapies, there's high-level processing, and there's low-level processing, and there's no growth processing. Let's go across the middle. There's potential information becomes available to your student, let's say. And there's a particular method for understanding this potential information has been already mastered. Okay, so let's just say that a child knows how to add. That's great. So they're given a problem that, what's 7 plus 9 plus 3? They know what to do about that. Now they can acquire new data by using that method, and that enables them to solve the problem. But although that enables you to acquire and understand new information, it's called low-level thinking because it doesn't teach you a new method of acquiring novel information that you haven't yet acquired, meaning a new method of discovering the world beyond what your current methods are. If we go to the bottom route, which is the route of anxiety, there's potential information, and all that you can muscle out is memorizing the data of that information. So Mercury is closest to the Sun, then there's Venus, then there's Earth, then there's Mars. You remember that data, you don't know why, you don't know anything about other than the words that you've just spoken to remember the sequence of the planets. So if you memorize things and not know the method by which those planets relate to each other, or you don't understand the value of that, then that's kind of a route of just simple rote memorization, and it can cause a lot of anxiety. Because if you don't memorize everything all the time, then you're asked about that data, you don't have it available to you, that's linked with anxiety. But the top method is the growth mindset, or the courage method, I would call it, and it allows thinking to pursue and organize and understand the previously unknown. So these are thinking strategies. So that's why at the top level it says acquiring information is not the same as thinking. So the process of thinking is what we try to do in vision therapy. That is the method for understanding potential information is not yet mastered. This method's not quite mastered, but you're close to being capable of developing a method in order to understand it. So you're constantly driven in a really nurturing, comfortable, safe, supportive atmosphere to self-discover, maybe through the Socratic method, ways of learning how to acquire new information. And it's either self-guided or therapist-guided of a new method of understanding. So we teach new ways of thinking instead of data collection. It enables people to go into high-level thinking and to feel confident and secure about risking entering into that unknown realm of, say, chemistry or math or poetry, whatever it might be, because you have a strategy and a method of thinking through it in a safe and caring environment, which I think you guys do, because of every time I've taught Yeah, I was like, what are we gonna do? So that's kind of how we do things. Do you have any questions so far?
I wanted to ask you just so that's like kind of on like the concept imaging side of things. So you talked about that you see students that might be diagnosed with dyslexia, and I guess what would be the difference if you can explain to the group of what you would be treating and that kind of diagnosis versus what we are working on?
Right, so if we had a child with, say, who was reading, such as you might have read on the 3 Billy Goats Rough, or they read really slowly, but we do a test and determine that, gosh, they can't even process peripheral vision and central vision alternately. They can't cycle through central peripheral processing. Then we're gonna, and they still are behaving as though they have dyslexia, and they might truly have dyslexia. We use the decoding and encoding screening for dyslexia to get a sense of that. But we also like all variety of psychoeducational reports and nervous psycho notes, and we get that as well. And all of the testing you might do helps us know. I mean, if you determine a child has dyslexia, we're going for it. They have dyslexia. But what's contributing to dyslexia is possibly an eye movement control issue. So maybe if they have dyslexia and a visual problem, that's a double load that they have to carry. So we would try to determine, are saccades, that is the lateral tracking skills of that child, supporting or interfering with their ability to learn and to read. And if they're interfering, we can treat those tracking skills independently of whether they have a diagnosis of dyslexia or not. Or let's say they have convergence insufficiency, they can't turn their eyes in very well, and they have dyslexia. Well, if we can get rid of that binocular dysfunction of convergence insufficiency, now they're freed up to benefit more of what we have to offer. So we're not treating dyslexia because we can't, but we are eliminating the extra baggage that somebody with dyslexia might be carrying that also contributes to their difficulties. So if they're really low on visual closure and visual imagery and visual figure ground and spatial relationships, we can develop those things because they're non-linguistic skills. So they're precursors to linguistic skills. But we're not going to treat the linguistic part of it because we don't do that. You can do that. But so we're going to have them realize, for example, when they look at parquetry blocks like this, there's some relationships between these blocks, and sometimes we won't even use words to describe those relationships. So we'll say these are sharp points. We're not going to say they're 45 degrees, but they're sharp points. And so a diamond has 2 sharp points, 2 flat points, and 4 edges. Well, what's the relationship between this? We'll call it a triangle. And this. Well, this one has 2 sharp points. This one has 2 sharp points. Does it have any flat points? It has a square point. This is a flat point. So this one has a square point and 2 sharp points. Those line up. So there's a relationship between these blocks. They have sharp points that they coincide. What about the length of this here? What about that? Square. So this is kind of what we do in vision therapy, is just a realization of the properties of the physical world, if you will. And just have them own that in such a natural way that when later on somebody says 45 degrees or 90 degrees, they'll say, oh, you mean 2 sharp points coming together makes 90 degrees? Yeah. That's what we do. Or hypotenuse. I don't want to hear the word hypotenuse personally. But I can understand that. And I can understand that. I begin to understand why math even exists. I mean, why does math exist? I ask our kids all the time, why does math exist? And it's kind of interesting to hear why they say math exists. So we can add numbers. But math really exists, from my perspective, it's a language that describes time and space. I do that, I know how to do that. Okay, then let's do some of that here. Let's just do some of that here. How many blocks are there? 3. How many red ones? 1. How many square points? 5. 4 plus 1. How many sharp points? 3. I can make an extra square point like that. Okay. 1 plus 1. You know, so that's kind of that's the extent that we get into any kind of resolution of academic challenges. We try to get down to the core essence of sensory motor interaction with the physical world, and then the reason why some people made up math to language to describe these things. Yes, but the visual imagery part is part of this. So if you were to close, well, can you see through that paper? Okay, put your hand glasses down. With your other hand, reach back, feel it. This is what, how do you know? How do you know that's foreshortened images? Felt it. But can you see it? Can you imagine it? Can you see it? So that's, we use a lot of barriers. Can you pretend? We don't use imagine so much. We also don't use say in our head. Can you imagine in your head that you feel that you can see the square? Because that's not where the square is. The square's out here. So we always talk about, can you pretend? We like to use the word. Can you pretend that you can see that thing that you're feeling behind the paper? Yeah, I can pretend that I can see it because it's out here behind the paper and I'm feeling it. I can pretend to see it out there because that's where it is, and that helps people with spatial awareness because things are really out there. They're not in here. So in terms of visual imagery, that's how we approach the visual imagery side, is to get them out of their head into the physical world and using their other sensory systems to acknowledge the spatial presence of things through visual imagery, and it's pretty effective that way. I don't know the Linda Mood approach. I know the Linda Mood approach, seeing the stars approach a little bit, and they use a lot of visual imagery with, I think, pre-assigned images.
That's when seeing stars is with the phonological
Okay.
program, so it's dealing with letters,
Yeah.
phonemes,
Okay.
and syllables, that sort of thing.
So that's the thing too. I mean, if there's individuals with phonemic awareness issues, I can't. I need to send them out because I just don't know enough about their ability to either develop it or not. They're not developing it because if they don't have that, they gotta have that. That's not my problem.
What would be some signs that we would look for, in a student that, maybe we know they have a dyslexia diagnosis, but, we know they don't have a history of having
skip and reread words. I'm going to leave a little gift for you guys so that you can screen your kids a little kind of. So I talked about that slope surface. So I'm going to leave you one of these. It's a slope surface just like I showed you. And you can put this in front in each of the places that you work and just check it out because it's reflective. And of course, like I said, you can use your cell phone or whatever you want to do. But I think that's probably the most important thing you can do. Is just to ensure there's a really good visual environment for them to learn by, and to arrange for them to be in a safe space to learn those things. Just be really sensitive to their any visual complaints. Just a short little interview might be the best screening device. If your eyes ever bother you when you read. That's all that I have to share. I know that we're a little bit over an hour, so I didn't
Thank you so much. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
If anyone else wants to try these glasses on,